Development Corporation Board. Peggy Dean has agreed to do our invocation today.
Will you pray with me? Our Heavenly Father, we come to you today filled with gratitude for all the incredible abundance that you have given to each of us, that you have given to this city, to our nation. Father, we ask your wisdom as we conduct business, especially for those of us that this is the first time we've been here. Help us to always remember that what we do is for the benefit of the city and for the citizens. Father, help us to remember that all that we are and all that we have is through your grace. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Peggy. Let's all rise and pledge allegiance to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas,
one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you all. We've got some presentations. I'm going to come down front. We at least have at least one presentation. Larry Robinson, would you come to the front, please?
Oh, I didn't see him out there.
Yeah.
I'll give you the big part first.
Oh, thank you. I get to keep this. I know this guy.
All I can do is figure
I
out
can't,
how-
But
Well, thank you.
Well,
Solid
you
go.
don't have to thank us. We don't have to thank you, but we want to thank you for your service on the ODC board. This plaque says, presented to Larry Robinson, in appreciation for outstanding leadership and contribution in economic development for our community and citizens. Odessa Development Corporation, March 2021 through December 2024. I want to thank you for all your contributions and your willingness to serve and the time that you've dedicated.
Thank you, David. And I want to thank everybody here for giving me the opportunity to work with some new ones and some in different committees and different parts of the city. But I enjoyed it very much, and thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Here's your packaging. This is really good.
You don't rewrite? Read it?
Okay, next item on the agenda is the election of officers. We need to elect a president, vice president, and assistant secretary. The only officer serving now is me as assistant secretary. So I would entertain a motion for those offices individually or collectively, however you want to make that.
I make a motion, we elect David Boutan as president.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to nominate David Boutan for president. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Vice President, I would encourage someone to nominate Peggy Dean, other than me.
I'll second.
Thank you.
And I guess I'll nominate her. And I have a nomination, Peggy Dean for Vice President, and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Assistant Secretary, I think Tim would do a good job with that if somebody wants to nominate Tim.
I'll nominate him. He's
Second.
been on it before.
Have a nomination and a second. Tim for Assistant Secretary. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. There's nothing on the agenda, but I think it's important, since I'm now officially running this meeting as president, to welcome our new board members, Peggy, Tim, and Thomas. And I know Gavin said he was going to be a little late, and hopefully he'll join us. Looking forward to your service, and thank you for your willingness to give the time, and certainly appreciate your talent that you're bringing. Okay, we have a number of committees, and typically the ODC board members serve in some capacity on those. The partnership, Odessa Partnership, has recently, I'd say within this past year, kind of been reinvigorated. The president typically serves on that, and I don't know that, I mean, we could have other members, but I know you got plenty to do, and so if anybody's interested in serving on the partnership, just let me know and I'll appoint you.
Are you able to do that?
Yes.
'Cause that's really important.
It is important, yeah. I think it's one of the obligations when you become president, you really need to take to heart. And I do. Advertising, we have typically had 2 or 3 members serve on an advertising committee that meet on a regular basis with our contractor. And so does anybody have any interest in serving on that committee? I really would like to appoint those who have an interest.
I'd like to.
Okay, Tim, anybody else who'd like to do that? It'd be nice to have 2 members that would meet with her.
I'll do it.
Okay, Ronnie and Tim will be appointed to those, to that committee. All right, the Downtown Grants Review Board, I guess I'm a little, this used to be part of the Main Street operation, the downtown Main Street operation. The thing that's important to the Odessa Development Corporation are the infrastructure and facade grants. When that was removed, if you will, from the city, then we carved out the infrastructure grants and facade grants to have those come to our contractor, the chamber. So it would be nice to have a member or 2 to interface, if you will, for any of those facade and infrastructure grants that are submitted. If anyone would like to serve on that.
And those actually go from the chamber, they actually go to compliance now, rather than
Yes,
to us,
right.
yeah.
So anybody that would, that wants to serve on that, I'm not sure we need 2 members, but it would be nice to have someone. I mean, I think, and I will tell you in advance that I'm going to want to charge this group with extending the downtown, the definition of downtown, to include Grant Street going towards the interstate as our corridor coming in. That I think that might make some sense. We've had a lot of success with the beautification, if you will. Maybe the area looks a little more professional, more accommodating, more welcoming in the downtown area. So that's one of the things that I think would be involved in. If anyone would like to serve and recommend and represent the Odessa Development Corporation Board on that, in that regard with the chamber,
Yeah, I think I would.
Ronnie would be good. Anybody else would like to do that?
You said everything they do goes through the compliance committee first.
It does now.
So do we need to be on both committees?
Well, that's what I was just waiting on, the compliance
'Cause I was
piece. It
thinking
looks
you're
like
on
if you're
compliance,
working
gotta
on
see it
compliance.
anyway. So
We haven't actually, Tracy or Tom, we haven't actually done one of those yet, but it is, when we went through all the ODC stuff, that is now something that compliance is supposed to do.
Well, and let me kind of answer that question a little bit. I don't think there's a need for 2 or 3 of our board members to serve ex officio on the compliance committee. I mean, I think what the process should be, those grant applications, whether they be downtown grants or whether they be traditional grants or whatever, come to the compliance committee, and those are fully vetted. And many times there are multiple meetings associated with a grant application, but they are fully vetted. And then if the compliance committee provides an appropriate report that provides enough information for board members to make a decision, there's no reason for our board members to be involved in that vetting process, in my opinion. I think we're going to have talented people on the compliance committee, so I think one representative is adequate. If there's information that comes to the board, it's in the packet, and you got a question, you can call chairman of the compliance committee. We could follow up with Tom. I mean, there's a number of ways we can get the additional information. So I think what I would be looking for is probably one representative from the compliance committee, from the board serving on the compliance committee ex officio. So if that helps. And if at this point we don't think we need that, we don't have to have somebody serve on the downtown. We don't have to have anybody serve in a capacity to interface with downtown, those downtown infrastructure grants. Don't really need to do that. So we could skirt that for a while. If we see the need later, we'll appoint somebody.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, don't we have, and this is a question, isn't there several projects going on down there now that are either stalled or something? You see people that if you go downtown, there's some certain structures that somebody started working on and then they quit.
Well,
Or maybe they ran out of money. I don't know. Maybe something went wrong.
well, we'll have a
I don't really
report later on in the meeting with regard if there's anything pending, and hopefully we're not holding that up.
Right.
That would be good.
That would be something that somebody ought to look into,
Okay,
though.
just to make sure that's flowing and,
Right.
and running efficiently. Okay, so I'm hearing that we're not gonna appoint anybody in that regard,
Okay.
but we do need to have somebody, I don't think we necessarily need somebody, but I think it'd be at least good for some, right now. And Peggy, I would like to ask you to do
I
that
would
since
like
you're,
to do that.
you're in transition right now with, Brian coming on and being the chairman of that committee. So I'll appoint that. We had basically started out as a task force. I don't know that this is gonna be a long-lasting committee, but Gene Chavez and myself met with Kaylee to better understand what opportunities, what options we had with regard to our investments and how we're placing those. I think it would be good for us to continue that maybe for at least another 6 months or something like that, just to make sure that I don't think it's one of those things where there's a lot of activity in it. But what we did was we established some type of a strategy, if you will, going forward with our investments. And at some point, it's going to be good for Kaylee to make a presentation. Hopefully, she'll do that next month. She's not going to be here today. So I would like to continue to do that. I think I'd like to have Thomas serve on that with me. And for right now, so I think I'll appoint myself and Thomas to do that. And again, I don't know that that's going to be a permanent committee, but it would be good to, so that we're not having to look at our investments in this meeting and make decisions based on, we're basically making the sausage. We don't really need to do that. We need to have recommendations to say, here's what we're trying to accomplish. What does the board think? And if we need to tweak it at the meeting, we can do that. So,
But we are going to have an opportunity or a workshop to understand what we have invested where.
Exactly.
I think that's really
Yeah.
important.
And there's a lot of limitations, and it's
Yeah.
not like we got a lot of options. It's pretty restricted.
Well,
But
I
we need to
know
know
on
that.
using, but I want to understand where the money
Yeah,
is, how
exactly.
it's invested.
And I'll make it a point that we have that as a part of, certainly a dedicated agenda item on the next meeting.
Okay.
So I'll be happy to do that. Okay, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting? I know some of you weren't here.
I think you're the only one that you can
I
write
read
it.
them, they sounded good.
Sounds like y'all did a good job.
Ronnie, I'd ask for a motion to approve if you think the
Yes, a
minutes
motion to
reflect
approve.
they're accurate. And-
Yes.
And a second? I guess
Second.
there you go. Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone in the audience that wants to address a non-agenda item? I don't hear anyone. Then any member of the public may address the LDC board regarding any of its agenda items before or during the consideration of the item. We'll start out with contractors' reports. Tom, Economic Development Department of the Chamber.
Good afternoon. You will find, I don't see the page number, but you'll find our report after the minutes there. And it will show you currently projects we are working. A number of you sitting here today had the opportunity to participate. We had a site visit this week with Project Horseshoe, which is on the second page of the projects list. They were in town. This is potentially a $3 billion project. We are under an NDA with it, but we were able to bring in several board members to get background information on the project and find out some more information in detail. So hopefully that'll be something in front of the board in the not too distant future with an agreement at hand. We still have some things to work out. It was a very good visit. They came in Monday night. They left last night and this morning. There was a team of 5 that came to Odessa and stayed with us for a couple of days. And like I said, one of the better site visits. Everything seemed to gel pretty good. I think our major issues are, like a lot of projects this size, water, electricity, water treatment. We provided them opportunities, hopefully, to get positive answers to some of those issues, and we'll keep you updated on Horseshoe. Project Van Zandt is active. That's what we call a BESS. That's Battery Energy Storage System. Not an employer per se. I don't believe they will be doing an application for ODC money, but we have met with them, and we've also taken them around to meet the taxing entities. And then we also lined up a meeting with, because they are dealing with a lot of high energy batteries, we did have them meet with Odessa Fire Department. And so those are kind of the main ones. 2 others I will highlight. I got to see what page we're on. On first page, Project Thunderstorm. We're hoping to have an MOU from them next week with a property owner here in Odessa. They're very serious looking at Ector, actually not in Odessa, but Ector County. And so I talked to them earlier in the week, and they're getting through a couple of legal hurdles. I think they're doing a joint venture, and once they have the joint venture paperwork finished up this week, they hope to have us an MOU next week. That would be potentially a $300 to $500 million capex in Ector County, so that's another good one, and we'll keep you updated on that. The last one I highlight, because I've spoken with them probably 15 times this week, is Project Texas Clean Energy. They are another one that we're trying to move forward. 3 or 4 of our different projects. I know also there's a Project Phoenix, which is, I don't believe in here, but that's one Tracy's working on, another big one. We've got, the phones have been real busy since January 1st. I think the last 2.5, 3 weeks have been some of the busiest of my career. Unfortunately, about 3 to 4 of these projects are all looking at the same site. And so, we now are kind of telling them whoever gets an MOU / LOI to us first, and we get it we proceed to go with it where it needs to go. They may be approved to have that property captive for a while. And so that's been kind of unusual, but it also kind of highlights, looking down the road, we need to look at available land options, and whether that's ODC sometime down the road, and that's obviously for the board to decide, or because you want to continue working with them. A good development partner for us throughout the years has been Grow Odessa, and they also are starting to run low on land. And so a lot of the projects we're seeing right now with the phones lighting up through marketing efforts and everything else, trade shows, are big projects. Data centers are very popular right now, and they're very interested. For those of you who were in a couple of the meetings the last couple of days, you probably heard from them why Ector County is a great opportunity. Wide open spaces is very good, and the fact that the first project that can get out here can get electricity, that's very good, and we have to keep that moving forward. But there's a lot of good things happening on that. Moving forward on that, you'll see some of our partner visits and things of that nature after that page, and then you'll see economic indicators past that. Got a little job growth, not a lot, as far as civilian labor force in the market. And then the last page is our social media, which actually has been growing pretty good, everything with the exception of X, formerly Twitter. I hope all of y'all have signed on to our social media so you can see a lot of the announcements. Our partner, Current Media Partners, works closely. Lindsay in our office, they do a great job. Where our goal is to get at least one notification on something out every day, and they do a good job of doing that. And it's not all about ODC. It may be about UTPB and their workforce efforts, or OC, or something going on great in the community. Maybe that, I don't know if we did one, but the middle school groundbreaking today in West Odessa, that's certainly good for our community. And so with that, I will, I did want to mention downtown. We have created our own application that mirrors what the city had, but it's just in our colors and look, kind of. And so we've got that. Our partners have put that on our website, so that it's now under the tab, so you can go to our website to do the app for downtown infrastructure and facade. On projects, there's a number of them that are out there active. I know some stall. I don't know if the ones that have stalled are actually from the grant program or not. I know since we've taken it over, we haven't done a grant. We've got one that's come in. They try to put infrastructure and facade all on one grant, and so we're trying to get them into the office to go over that with them, because they're going to have to separate their applications out, because it was clearly one was meant to be infrastructure and one was meant to be facade. And so we are working on that, and happy to work with anybody that from the board that wants to be a part of that discussion. And I think going through compliance is a great route, because that's, as y'all well know, and Peggy was chairing it most recently, they really look at those, they look them over very well and analyze them very well. And so with that said, I'll be happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
So is there any way, to Ronnie's question, do we know, since we took it over, do we know where things are, which projects are in limbo, which are finished? Because now all of a sudden it's become our responsibility, right?
Yeah, we've started meeting with the city, who used to head up that DOI, and so we can go over existing projects and what may be in limbo. We really haven't gone around and done an inventory on that yet, but that, I know we've got a meeting scheduled, Lindsay.
I have a meeting with her on
Tuesday?
Wednesday.
And she now knows that one of the things is to go over an inventory of existing projects and find out where they're at and see if any are in limbo. I know that since I've been here, I've just seen it. I'm sure it happened well before I got here. You'll see some projects are stall. It may be a year, maybe two. It may be they never occur. And that, that just happens sometimes on these downtown projects when you go into an older building and you just don't know what you're going to run into.
But they don't happen because we're holding it up, right?
We certainly have. I would imagine if it's our fault, they're going to call you. So, and your next call is to our office. So, but yeah, we right now, I don't believe we're holding up anything.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christie, our marketing report?
Sorry. I wanted to also introduce to a few of you, Brittany Mann is my business partner. She came in for the meeting today since we had, new board members as well. So there are a few questions too as we get to the digital side that she's the expert in. So wanted to mention that. The marketing budget, I thought what I would do, you've got the report that we provide every month. That's basically the metrics on our campaigns. And it tells you a little bit about what our projects are. And usually we'll kind of walk through that, and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I thought I'd use my time very briefly just to tell you a little bit of background about why we're doing what we're doing right now. For the most part, the majority of our spend right now is outside the area. We are targeting businesses that would be looking at Odessa, or we want to look at Odessa to come into the area. So I just wanted to mention that. We've got a big digital push that goes toward that. We still do a lot of business retention, local focus as well, including a News West 9 series that's starting this month. So in case you start seeing that, the goal behind that is really to say, who is the ODC? What do they do? What can they do for our local businesses? So you'll start seeing those come up as well. Few other things too that have taken place. We have created a new logo. It's been developed. We've kind of held that back, knowing that we had a lot of new board members. The plan is to launch that next week. I'll send that to the advertising committee now too, along with kind of a report of a few more details as well. But the logo was created in 2003. So, 2003. Sorry. So it's about 22 years old. So we've looked at updating that as well. We also have a new creative campaign that we launched last year. There's a couple of samples in the report, but we have print ads, we have videos, we have all kinds of things that have got that campaign. We refresh that every other month or so with new ads and new things just to keep things fresh. But I wanted to mention that it's about a year old, but we feel like that's got another couple years shelf life in it at least. We plan to keep using that look for a while. We also shot right before the holidays a new group of testimonial videos. We of course got Tom and Tracy and talked about their team. We got updates from OC, UTPB, Workforce Solutions, those kinds of things. So those are being edited right now, and those will start airing on our social channels first too. So you'll start seeing those probably in your Facebook feeds. Few other things just to let you know. We did some competitive research when we first came on as contractors, and we've updated that. The last time was probably about 6 months ago, where we look at other towns about our size. What are they doing? Where are they advertising? What are they promoting, and what kind of successes that they have? So we have reports on all of these things as well if anyone needs those. And one of the big things that we did last year is we completed a target industry study. And so a lot of the things that you'll hear us talk about and the things that we're promoting that go to industries are based on the research that came out of that study. I think it's a 105-page report, and I will get with Tom. I think Kathy can send to the full board, but I think that that's something that all the board members ought to have a copy of. So I'll get that to you. Couple of other things. Our website. We updated the website in 2023. We have a partner that is an economic development niche partner. We had looked at revamping the website, and basically they have a lot of these tools already developed. It would have cost us more to develop these tools than to use theirs. So we use them as a partner for a few things. They're working on some content to be placed right now in publications, on economic development sites, on news sites. We had our first article run last week in the Daily Caller, and so we're starting to see that. That just started in December. So our next report will have a full report to the board on how that campaign is doing. And one thing I wanted to mention, and Brittany and I have been talking about this, we have a tool called Lead Forensics that we pay for annually, and we're able to see who's visiting our site. We're able to see the businesses. We can see a lot of their information. You know, who's looking at us, what pages are they looking at, how long are they spending. So we take that and we take the best leads off of that, and we send that to the economic development staff every month. We put a couple of samples in your report. We don't include the business names in there just in case it's something that Tom or Tracy, that they may be talking to someone and they might, you know, be under a non-disclosure. We don't include the business names in that. But that is something that we have access to, and we're starting to utilize that more. We're about to do another training with staff on that, hopefully later this month or next, to talk about how we can be using it more. So I think those are, I just kind of wanted to give the background and then open it up to questions. Did I miss anything as far as background? Just open it up for any questions that y'all might have of us.
What area are you advertising in?
So most of our advertising is more toward the industries than it is toward geographical regions. Now, there are exceptions to that. If Tom goes to a conference or if he goes to something or we have a reason to select an area, we will do that. But for the most part, we're concentrating our dollars around the industry, so it's scattered a little bit, depending on where they're at.
What industry is it?
So the industries that we're looking at, I mean, manufacturing is the one, of course, you know, advanced manufacturing. The other things that we're looking at on the target industries, we have construction that we just started. One of the things we found out in that study was that, you know, we have so much going on here, but they are bringing in construction firms from other areas. Right. And Odessa was actually the lowest on the list in terms of large construction groups. San Angelo beat us, you know, and some of the smaller ones. So that one we've just started. Renewable energy is one of the target industries. We have focused primarily on renewable energy manufacturing, though, and looking at parts and things like that serve the renewable energy segment. Mm-hmm. And those are the main ones that we're focusing on right now. One thing that was identified was that we need more retail, that we need more things, but ODC, of course, can't fund retail. Yeah. So what we've talked about is we've talked more about the infrastructure that has been funded. For example, the infrastructure that went in for where Bass Pro Shop is and things like that. So we can talk about the things that you can do. We just have to be careful to not imply that, you know, we can do full-on retail.
Yes, ma'am.
Did that answer
your
question?
Thank you.
Okay. Any others?
Any other questions for Christy? Brittany? Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Black Chamber of Commerce. Okay. One of the things, it's probably appropriate times, we don't necessarily require a presentation from all of our contractors. It got to be somewhat redundant. We do like for them to be here on a quarterly basis. The chamber is probably the exception in marketing. Sometimes they meet, they come make a presentation more frequently than quarterly, but it's not required. And unless this board seems to think that what's coming in the board packet is insufficient, we'll continue that practice. So I don't think there's any need to do that. And I don't see anybody here from UTPB. James is not here. Now, Kaylee is out of town, and so we don't have financials. But it prompted me to think, one of the things that I think would suit us a lot better, we get the financials presented here at the meeting, and I don't think that's adequate for us. Now, I know that there was a transition period, and it was a real challenge just to get the financials generated on a monthly basis. We were, at one time, I think we were two or 3 months behind. But since we're caught up, I'm going to talk to Kaylee about making sure that the financial information is in the board packet, or at least give us 48 hours, get it to us 48 hours before the meeting, so that we do have a chance to study that. I think that's really important. So I will cover that with Kaylee. The ODC committee and officer reports, the partnership, I don't know whether the last time it met, but I would think they're probably recently met or they're due within the next month or two, and I'll be happy to report on that. Advertising committee, I'm sure did not meet. And we'll take off this Downtown Grants Design Review Board. But I would like to, since we're not going to actually have a committee, if you will, or a board, I would like to charge the chamber with coming up with an evaluation and analysis of expanding the downtown area to include Grant Street from Second to the interstate. Obviously trying to offer those same infrastructure and facade grants. I do think that would make some sense for us to consider that. I haven't prejudiced the answer, but I'd sure like for some kind of report on that as soon as possible. And then compliance. I think we had a couple of items on here that are further down that are not going to be presented today. But I would like to welcome Brian Green, the new chairman of the Compliance Committee. He's been on it for a while. Has been a local business owner and operator, and welcome his continued input on the Compliance Committee.
And the other Brian is the vice chair.
Yeah, correct. Sure. Sorry.
Brian 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I guess I was going to cover that during the consideration of appointees, but I'm sorry. I apologize for the oversight. Investment review did not meet. So the number, my understanding is number 11 and number 12 are not going to be presented today. Is that correct, Tom? Correct. So number 13, who's going to present the resolution with regard to the audit, compliance audit for Glazers?
Good afternoon again. Now, moving forward after this, one of the Bryans will present the compliance report when they come up here, but they were so due, we didn't want to overload them when the agenda was being put together. You should have in your packet the compliance review report for Glazers. This is their fifth and final compliance and payment, and they are in compliance on everything. As you will look at the report, the three aspects that were looked at most importantly were the proof of insurance, the jobs, and I believe they'd already passed the CapEx portion of that. They'd already met those requirements earlier on in the agreement. But if you look under Exhibit A at the bottom of the page, you'll see that total wages for current employees was the required wages were supposed to be $4,300,000. They surpassed that by a good number, $6,376,000. So they surpassed it by a little over $2 million, which is a great thing. New hires, total wages were supposed to be $389,788 in new wages on new hires. They surpassed that, and it was $500,553 for their new hires. And they were required to hire 100 new people, or excuse me, keep 100 people in their existing jobs. They were able to keep 109, and then they were required to hire 10 new, and they hired 13. And so they did a good job. I believe their final payment will be $226,998.20. And this will be the fifth one of their contract. And like I said, they're in full compliance. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I think this was, if you think about the way that the Odessa Development Corporation has made its grants based on jobs creation in particular, that those jobs, the minimum requirements for jobs they're pretty good jobs. You know, that was the intent, was to make sure that we were creating and retaining really good jobs. This is even better. You know, so I think, again, success to Glazers for sure, but success to the community. And I think they ought to be commended on what they're doing and how successful they are. But we ought to be patting ourselves on the back too, because of the grant we made that helped to make this happen. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the payment, final payment. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, we are down to the appointment of Compliance Committee. And I asked Norm to send out our bylaws, in particular noting the Compliance Committee. And one of the things that I think is important, you know, this committee is vital to the efficiency and effectiveness of the work of ODC. The item C under section 4.2 says a majority of the committee members shall have experience in commercial banking, lending, accounting, insurance, or law. And then, you know, what we're looking for basically is talent with regard to understanding, you know, what makes a good company. How can we analyze this and determine that a company can perform on its obligations with regard to a grant, whether that be a 5-year, 10-year, whatever that time period is. So, and we've been blessed with really good committee members. We have, let's see, I need to make sure I got all right, so if we look at so we have those who are going off. It's my understanding they've been highlighted here: Zachary Bugg, Mike Withrow, Julie Prentice, and Peggy. We do need to reappoint Brian Bell, and one of the reasons we need to is because he's the vice chairman of the committee now, so we make sure we do that. And I would like to handle that as a separate item regarding without regard to the new appointees. So I would entertain a motion to reappoint Brian Bell with Prosperity Bank.
So made.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to reappoint Brian Bell. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And then we have a number of applications. Some of those are from last year. But I would,
Do I need to abstain since I worked with him? I mean, I wasn't on the board when y'all put him on here.
well, there might be a perception of a conflict of interest. I don't think there's a true conflict of interest because it's not benefiting you in a financial
I
way.
just wondered if I needed to abstain. If I do, I'll abstain.
It's not benefiting.
Okay, I just didn't want to.
Okay, I'm gonna run through what my analysis is, and then anybody can chime in. We have Peggy is going off of that committee as CPA. We have an application by Dean Combs. I think a lot of people know Dean here and know him in the community. He's a CPA, but he's also an ex-city councilman. So I think he would really be good on that committee. Mike Withrow's going off. You know, his title company, works in the title company. Tim Ogilvy has applied, another owner of a title company. I think he would be very well qualified, so that you'd be filling that. Mark Wyndham applied last year. I kind of talked him up. He's a business owner I've served with him on various, in various capacities. Good thinker, independent thinker, good analytical mind. I think Mark would be really good. And then we got an application today from Larry Robinson. We obviously just recognized Larry, and Larry has, the ODC board experience, and he was one of the liaisons to the compliance committee, so I think he'd be really good. Those are 4 appointees that I would be in favor of, but I'd certainly like to hear anybody else's comments.
Did Filiberto, I got a deal on Filiberto Gonzalez.
Yeah,
He's a past city councilman. I think he'd
Yeah.
be a good,
Yeah,
another one to throw in there.
yeah.
and he has an insurance background. So,
Is that what we got, 5 applicants for 4 spots?
Well, we've got more than that.
we've
but
got like 10
we
applicants.
There's
but-
about 5 that, we have 4 openings, and there's about 5 people here that I think all would make really good, good compliance members. Compliance is real near and dear to my heart, so, I think that the breadth of the members is what makes it successful, because they have a lot of different expertise, so I would consider to think that.
Anyone like to make a motion?
I guess your only issue would be what, Filiberto instead of, or how do you want to do that?
What, we take the first 4 that you mentioned is,
I mean, we don't have to vote on those as a slate. We can do those individually if we want to, but,
I think if we want to do it on a slate, I'd take that slate and then just keep Filiberto, because there's always, as you know,
yeah.
I think in 2 or 3 meetings, we can have an opportunity to put Filiberto on.
Okay,
That's it.
so
Yeah,
have
and
him.
I'm
we've
okay
thought-
with that.
We thought a lot about Filiberto. I
Yeah.
mean, I think he would be very good.
So
And
have him on the bench?
have him on the bench, and Larry wanting to come back and
Yeah.
serve. We didn't have that earlier, but since we got it, I think we all agree that he's been, he's very analytical. And he knows a lot about land. And I've learned a lot from Larry, so I think he brings something to compliance.
He'll be
that-
also good on the facade stuff, because when I served with him before, he brought out to our attention some variances that didn't make sense, and so I
Yeah.
think if we got that as well.
Okay, so,
So I would make a motion then that we would appoint Tim Ogilvy, Dean Combs, Mark Wyndham, and Larry Robinson to the Compliance Committee.
I'll second that.
I agree.
okay, have any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. That's good work. Let's see where my agenda is. I'm not managing my paperwork here very well.
Upcoming dates,
Let
the
me
back.
get you.
We're through with the front.
Turn it
Okay.
on page 2.
Yeah, we're making good time. Upcoming dates for future ODC board meeting. The next meeting is February the 13th at 2 p.m. My question would be, not just, but I mean, are there multiple people who have a conflict with that date? But the time, we met at 3 today, and we typically meet at 2. Does I mean, with new people on here, does it do you have any concern with regard to the time? Is 3 work better than 2, or 2 work better than 3, or does it make any
Are
difference?
there a lot of times, I know a couple of times, the meeting got moved back because there was something else in this room. Would that be less likely to happen if our meetings were at 3 instead of 2?
If it hits on it, and that's what happened today, planning and zoning was here at 1:30, and they got out of here, what time, Stephanie, about 2:45? So that may be better in the long run to do it at 3 o'clock.
It's better for me.
It's
Does that work for you, Ronnie?
Either
I have
Good
no,
for you?
that's either way.
It's
yeah.
good with me, 3.
Okay, all right, well, then, let's start meeting at 3 o'clock, and I will commit to do what I can to make sure that we don't run late.
Yeah.
I think we'll do that. I know Gavin had a trial issue today, and I'm disappointed that he's not here to welcome him, but certainly welcome all our new board members, and look forward to us doing some really good things in the next year.
The meetings will continue to be on the second Thursday of the month.
At 3,
Okay.
yeah. Unless we all collectively decide we want to do something different. But right now, that's what
Okay.
we'll do. All right, I hate this part. I wish we were doing Robert's Rules of Order, because I hate to have a motion to adjourn. I'd just soon adjourn the meeting myself, but I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move. We adjourn.
Have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone, for your time and effort.